These are combos keep the feet light. This is it. Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
So I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard this fight announced, I thought that this was just it was gonna be a blowout. That some point in the first or second round, we're gonna hear a woman screaming out in the audience, and then the camera pans to see Kambosos' head in her lap, while Teo does backflips. That's kind of how I first saw this fight happening. But the more I analyzed it, the more I kind of thought, well, you know what, that's probably not going to happen. However, I think it's important to know who Kambosos is, how he attacks, what his style is. Aside from the things that you can look up on BoxRec, Kambosos is he's primarily a counterpuncher, and he relies on that not exclusively, but primarily. And he likes to come forward. He's always on the front foot, and he likes to be in that position in order to get his opponent to react to him and to throw punches, which he will exploit and use that opportunity to counter them. And he is pretty effective at that. However, I do think that does create its own liabilities, and I think there are some things that he does that are, how can I say this? The technique is not, it's not as good as it should be in order to compete at these top levels. And so I will just get into it now. So when George attacks, what he does is sometimes he'll use a jab like he did here, but he often doesn't do that. And he will lunge in to close the distance in order to land his combination punches, because that's primarily what he does. He throws a lot of combos. You'll never counter or attack with one punch. It'll always be at least 2 punches, if not 3 punches, that he throws. And as you can see, if we look here, if you look at his leg, when he attacks this way, it's very obvious. Look as he spreads his legs like that. I put the arrows. You can see as he changes positions, he gets to the right head slot, but he's open right there. If you look at the circle, he's open for that counter. So this is good right here. See how he controls Selby, his arm, his shoulder. He doesn't let him get into any kind of position where he can attack. And that's because George missed with that attack. It wasn't a successful attack. So that's good. He's always thinking about what's coming back at him. Because like I said, he's primarily a counter puncher. And so that's his mindset. Now let's contrast this with better technique. Because if we look at Teofimo, because Teofimo is a perfect example, look how he launches and closes the space as he leaps in. Now this isn't a leaping left hook, it's a uppercut, but you can still see his mechanics that he dips down just a little bit, but he doesn't really take these large steps. So this movement's not telegraphed. It's very hard to pick up on. However, with George, that's not the case. With George, you can see it like a mile away. And with his sloppy defense as he's coming in, sometimes not, but usually he's not being defensively responsible. That this is going to be a big liability for George. Now let's look at George again as he comes in at Selby. So there he is. He's on his back. He's got his weight transferred to his back leg right there. Now look as he dips down right there. Look at how he takes that large step, and his head is now, he's changed levels, but his arm is down and his right side is open right there. You can look at the red circle. And then he comes in, and then Selby's able to counter him with a left there. So that's going to be a big problem. That's going to be a big problem for George, because he comes in like that all the time. And again, you can look at Teofimo. You see it's not telegraphed. It is to a certain degree, because I showed you the shoulder dip and how he dips down just a slight bit, but it's far better than what George is doing there. And you can see George leaping in like that from a mile away. So that's why I think maybe he gets knocked out in the first round. We'll have to see, because he's supposed to be, from what I heard, he's supposed to be very elusive for the first half of the fight. That he's going to be defensively responsible, and we won't see these things. But who knows? He's very aggressive. He does this all the time. The second round, he's already coming in like that, and he gets clocked. Not hard, because Selby cannot punch hard. But, all right. Now, we all remember this, the famous knockout by Ricky Hatton with Mayweather's now famous Chuck Hook. And, Teofimo, if he times him like this, it's all over. It's all over, because Teofimo punches harder than Mayweather. He just does. And if he catches George coming in like this, that's it. George's head is going to be somewhere out in the audience. And I put this up here too, because Teo does make that mistake, and Nakatani was able to throw a check hook there as he came in, which is great, because like I always said, Nakatani's a fantastic boxer. People really, these boxers that come out from Japan are just really good. All right, here's another thing too. George, he keeps his guard down, and as you can see, there he is. He parries it. He does that a lot. Teofimo does this as guard manipulation. He'll throw up above to get you to raise your guard up like that, which, as you can see, it exposes his stomach. George, however, it comes down to speed, because George, he will utilize that and often go down in the body. And like I said, he always throws combos and salvos. So, I'm kind of curious as to how that will play out. And another good thing about George is you can see here how he's so good at keeping distance. His control of distance is really impressive, considering that he hardly ever uses his jab. So he does it more in a kind of intuitive sense, and it takes him about 2 to 3 rounds, as we can see here. There. Now, he jumps back because he's always aware of where Selby is and what Selby's reach is. And if you go back and look at the 4th round here, in this fight, Selby did not land a single jab on Kambosos. It was bizarre, to be honest, to watch that. But here he triangle step. See, he's constantly keeping the distance there. And okay, so he's not letting Kambosos set. He's going to come back, but Selby, look, all right, here he is. He comes back to attack. There it is. You just know he's going to attack, so this makes it easy for George to go and counter. It just makes it super easy. And that's the other thing too, is that I wasn't sure because look here, Selby, here he is. He takes a step. Now he should be shooting a jab there. All right, that's where he should have stepped. But he takes 3 steps and he telegraphs everything he does. Selby's not really that good of a boxer. I got to be honest with you. This is right there. he goes in and he should be stepping to the third arrow, not taking this double step, because it just makes it so easy for George. I mean, it's so easy to avoid that. So, is George really good at, keeping distance, or is Selby that bad? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that. But I do think being able to not get hit by a single jab for an entire round is pretty impressive, especially since he doesn't use his jab that often. All right, now see, here he is, and he's getting predictable. So Selby goes and controls him coming in, throws off his, his attack and his rhythm, and then comes over the top with the right. Now, if Teofimo does that, I mean, I think George it's gonna be lights out for George, because he gets hit cleanly. It's not, he takes the shot, the full force of the shot, and we all know that Selby can't punch. Now, this is Tatley, and I want to show you. See how he's standing? He's not leaning over his foot. And Teofimo likes to attack when you come into that position, into the, when you come into the front foot position. Now, he's still reaching here, but with his movement, and this incidentally was Tatley's best round, because he started changing it up. He started using movement, lateral movement. He wasn't letting, Teofimo set. And he was giving Lopez different looks. He would come back, triangle step. Here he is. He's getting back to reset. And then he goes and he, as you can see here, he looks. All right, there he is. Changes head slots. Then he goes, and then as soon as he's there, he attacks. Boom. And this was something that I think is a. Incidentally, you can see Tatley. He's catching Lopez's return counter over there. And, I thought that was great. Being defensively responsible right there. That was hands down Tatley's best round against Lopez. He just gave Lopez a lot of problems. And then, for whatever reason, it was like he just gave up halfway through the fight. I didn't think he was going to win. But, he's clearly there for a paycheck. Anyway, I don't think George is going to fight that way. So, I guess there's, no point in showing this probably. So, let's get back to George then. He does have some things that he does, like right here. He will pause. He will just freeze right there for whatever reason. Like he just eats a jab by Mickey Bay. And he does this. And he does it because when he's about to attack, he'll pause. Because he's waiting for that right opening, and then Bay would exploit this. Luckily here, he's able to parry it away and try to get a counter off. And again, he always throws at least 2 punches whenever he counters. Usually 3 punches, if not more. And then here, let's see, what is he doing here? I'm kind of winging it now because my original file was corrupted and I've had all kinds of problems. So, this is Bay. Look at this. I just threw this in here because this is a brilliant, I don't know, I saw this and I was thinking, if you see here, Bay, he goes and he throws a feint, and then with the same hand off the feint, he throws a, is it a jab? Or is it so he dips and he throws the feint, and then he comes back, and there, look at that, he shoots the jab. I mean, that was just amazing. I just had to throw that in there because I thought that was brilliant. Okay, now here's Nakatani, and this is another weakness of Lopez. So he's going to go for the body here. You see Lopez dip down like that, and he throws an uppercut to the body and tries to come over the top. Now, we see this is how Kambosos is able to knock out Bay. Bay dips down like that, you see? He's dipping to the right, just like Lopez, and then there goes George with the uppercut, and the uppercut is George's strongest punch. Now, this is what he knocked down Mickey Bay with. And once George finds that, his range for the uppercut, and he gets comfortable throwing it, he will not stop throwing it. But here we go. We can see Nakatani, as he dips down, he comes over the top, and he is having huge success with that against Lopez here. Throw the jab, right there, getting lower the guard, boom, over the top. Jab to the body, to the solar plexus, over the top. And that was working very well for Nakatani. Here we can see a similar thing. He gets down, he kind of controls him, George, and then boom, over the top. And this is a combination that George likes to use a lot. And it just so happens that that's one of the shots that Teofimo tends to get caught with more frequently than not. So here we go. He's shooting. What's going on here? So, okay, yeah. So here he is. You see how he parries like that? He often parries with that arm. And I put that arrow there because he should have thrown the uppercut. And he missed that, but he wasn't comfortable yet. He kind of likes to get to the opponent. Okay, here's another thing, too. You see how he's controlling the lanes as he comes to attack? This is something that Lopez, I think we're going to see this happen in the first round a lot. Because Lopez is going to try to knock out Kambosos in the first round. We know that. And so he will start coming out like he did in some of his earlier fights when he was fighting people like William Silva and, was it Mason Menard? Two very heavy front foot fighters we can see here. And Lopez comes out very aggressive. You know, his offense. When he's a counter puncher, but he's very versatile. So he will come forward much more than Kambosos does, actually. Kambosos is more of a counter puncher than Teofimo is, because Teofimo is actually versatile. So what I mean is that Teofimo will, initiate the attack. He's not going to wait for the opponent to attack it, so that gives him the opportunity to counterattack. He'll just go straight away and attack. If he feels that is something that he can get away with, he changes how he fights depending on who his opponent is. So he is a counter puncher, but like I said, he's very versatile. Now, we all know Teofimo is a phenomenal boxer, and he has a lot of ring craft, setting up traps. And he likes to, set up traps, especially for his right hand, from what I've noticed. And one that comes to mind is the one with Diego Magdaleno, where he came in, and as he sits here, Teofimo goes in and he switches, baits out the jab, and then comes back and then takes advantage of Diego overextending right there. Catch and shoot. That's what he did. And he was hitting Diego with that uppercut all night long. And when we look at George, we can see here, as he comes in like this and he ducks down, he's going to overextend and he's going to be right in line for that uppercut from Teofimo. And, I don't know. Does George have a better chin than Diego? I don't know. We will find out, though. We are going to find out what type of chin George has, because he's going to be getting hit a lot in this fight. And when he comes in like that, too, like I said, that left hook, Teofimo will have his choice of the uppercut or the left hook. And that's why I'm going to say right now that I think if there's a knockout, it's going to be from his uppercut or the left hook. Probably his left hook. And here again, we can see how he's so good at, I can't remember, does he catch and shoot? No, he just goes in and look at that. He catches him right there, times him. That was a timing shot right there, based primarily on timing. And I see George is going to be doing that, because as he comes in and he ducks down like that, he's going to be right in line for Teofimo's right hand. And like I said, we're going to see Teofimo come out very aggressive. He's going to be pushing George back. And with George keeping his hands down low like that, he's going to really be able to, exploit some of George's tendencies, which is, like I said, to parry the jab and raise it up. That'll expose his liver, his abdomen. We're going to see a lot of body shots. And he will also be able to come in and throw these leaping left hooks, like this. You see that? In fact, I think that this is what's going to happen. We're going to see George hit the ground like that, based off of a similar manner of attack that we see here, where George is on the front foot, and he just comes in and overwhelms George. I mean, maybe George can, we'll see. We're going to see. But George is going to get hit clean, and he's going to get hit clean several times at least. So the question for me is, how good of a chin does Kambosos have? Because that will determine whether Kambosos can make it to the later rounds. Because if he does not have a phenomenal chin, because he will need a phenomenal chin in order to get past the first half of the fight. And if he can't do that, then it's over. If he can get past that point, I think that he might have a lot more success in kind of changing the momentum of the fight, because the first half of the fight is going to be all Teofimo. I have no doubt. And it's just a matter of whether George can weather the storm long enough to get Teo in the later rounds, because George, if anything, his stamina is off the charts. If he has one quality that is above and beyond what others have, it's his stamina and his ability to keep up the same level of pressure from the first round all the way to the 12th round. And so that's his key to success, is to take Teofimo down the stretch and to get him tired and to get him weak and to start frustrating him with his combination counterpunching. But, I just don't know. I just don't see him being able to do that. I just don't see him being able to weather the storm. I mean, and even if he does, it's like at that point, I don't know how beat up Kambosos is going to be. I don't. And he will be beat up. So is it, even if he does make it that far, is it going to be enough? I can't see it. So if it were me and you wanted to listen to my recommendation on what to do, I would bet for a 4th round TKO. A 4th round TKO, and because it's not going to be in the first round, because Teofimo's been gone for a year, and his timing is going to be off. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get into the fight. George, like I said, it takes him a while to get his distance down. It takes him at least the 3rd round before he starts really getting his rhythm and distance down. Sometimes as late as the 5th round. So I'm saying, 4th round TKO. If not, then it might go the distance if George isn't out of there by the 4th round. But even then, it could be a late round TKO. It's very hard for me to see George winning this. I don't know. Anything's possible, but anyway, I'm just going to call it 4th round TKO. So, hope you found this interesting. It was going to be better than what it is right now, but my computer broke and all kinds of problems have been happening. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed this.